Hello Rebels and welcome back to my life. Yes, back with another video for the second day in a row, although we should all know by this point not to get used to it. In future videos on the channel, we're going to talk about the history of what is now legacy books, but today we have a new book coming out, so we kind of have to talk about that. The book is titled The Mindmage's Wrath, and it is the second book to come out in the Academy Journals, which is the second series to come out in the world of Underrealm. I do not have a physical copy to show you, I wish that I did, and that is one of the many changes that is going to be going into legacy books in the future, but you should be able to see the cover right there, and it's very pretty. I like it. I hope you enjoy it as well. The Mindmage's Wrath is probably the darkest book in Underrealm so far. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the grimdark trend that's currently gripping popular culture, and my books are never going to be as grim as A Song of Ice and Fire, for example, but that doesn't mean everything is always like sunshiny rainbows all the time either. So Shadeborn and then The Alchemist's Touch, the books that came right before this one, are the books where Underrealm really started to get epic. But in The Mindmage's Wrath, things focus down a little bit more and become a lot more personal, and hopefully a lot more gripping because of that. No spoilers for those previous two books, but if you've read them, you know the big thing that happens at the end of them. Well, this book goes on a very personal journey with Eben on a situation that's like very near and dear and dangerous to him, but still plays into the larger situation that currently grips the Nine Kingdoms. Now, I'm one of those people that believe that author intent matters less after the book has actually come out and is exposed to the world and the audience, but I'm also really stoked about some things about this book, so I want to tell you some of my favorite things about it for you to keep your eye on as you read it. If you read it, please read it. First of all, we have a lot more magic. In the first book, Eben was newly arrived to the academy and had never, learned or practiced his magic before, and he also had a really terrible instructor, so, he didn't cast very many spells. But in The Mindmage's Wrath, he finds himself with a new instructor, and everything starts to change. So if you were a little bit frustrated that there weren't very many spells and not much magic in my first book about a wizard academy, you will hopefully find this one a little bit more enjoyable. Secondly, there's a lot more focus in terms of the character and the plot. One fairly legitimate criticism of my books is that the first book in each series is always a little bit meandering, seems to kind of go everywhere, and doesn't really focus up until the very end of the book. That's totally fair criticism, but it's also not something that I really particularly want to change. I mean, I think that most long, worthwhile journeys begin a little bit muddled until you figure out what's going on. I mean, that's basically the entire story of my author career. And in a single volume novel, you have to provide focus right off the bat that draws your characters through the story, just like you have to do in a single feature-length film. But the Underrealm book series are much more like long-form TV, and in modern TV, shows take their time establishing character and world before the plot really, gets going and takes off, especially on channels like Netflix, where the series is the point. The plot, of course, does have to take off at some point, and without spoiling anything, I will just say that the stakes in The Mindmage's Wrath are much more visceral and primal and personal to Eben than they have been previously, and from one of the first chapters, right off the bat. And finally, there's the theme of the Academy Journals as a series. Now, again, author intent is not king here, but to me, the theme of the Academy Journals is about legacy. Sometimes legacy is a voluntary thing. It is put into our hands and we are asked to uphold it, like a business or a farm or just a general passion for enhancing the lives of others. But sometimes, maybe most of the time, legacy is something that we're born with and which we live with whether we want to or not, and which we can only extract ourselves from with incredible effort. That sentence got away from me there, but I'm pretty sure it was grammatically correct. Have I mentioned that I write books? A family history of abuse or bigotry or physical or mental illness can shape the entire course of our lives, and we can either try to deal with it or just ignore it entirely and pretend it doesn't exist. But sometimes ignoring the problem only makes it worse. Sometimes closing our eyes and pretending that there's nothing wrong in the first place makes everything so much worse than it would have been otherwise. And sometimes ignoring the problem only means that we end up as the perfect embodiment of the legacy that we were trying to get away from in the first place. So that sounds like a downer, and maybe it is, but I wrote this book so that you would enjoy it, and I believe that there is still fun to be had within its pages. And if the ending to this one isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and it isn't, well, rest assured that the next book is more fun from front to back. Kind of. Maybe. Not really. That is it for today, Rebels. You can buy your copy of The Mindmage's Wrath at the link in the description right now. It's available for you in ebook and paperback and hardcover, and I'm very excited to find out whether you're gonna like it or not. Please do let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!